What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about Disney Star Wars, the gift that keeps on giving to the YouTube content creator, meaning me, meaning you if you choose to make videos. It gives many gifts to a lot of us, but it doesn't give any to the bottom line at the Walt Disney Company.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
I'm in such pain.
It has continued to be a disaster beyond belief, and many people are realizing that. But something interesting has been going on in the last few days, maybe the last week, on social media. The desperation of the Disney Star Wars fan has reached a level that I'm not sure I have seen.
I like to make men uncomfortable.
And much like anything, when you are finally at the end, you become very desperate to hang on to the very thing that you are losing. And that is what's going on right now with Disney Star Wars fandom. They realize it is over, and they are lashing out, and they are desperate to hang on, but it is over. It is over, and it's not coming back. You and your toxicity have ruined Star Wars, and it's not ever coming back. And that is the reality of the situation. But there's one tweet in particular that I want to talk about. And it's from Roberto Blake. Now, Roberto Blake is an entrepreneur. He does a lot with helping people grow their YouTube channels, helping them get monetized, understanding the algorithm, things like that. Not somebody that's making F Hollywood videos every day like someone, say, me or Ryan or Gary or something like that. This is not somebody that's doing that. And even he realizes what has been obvious to so many that have been covering this, that Disney Star Wars is dead. And it's dead because they killed it, because they screwed this up from the beginning, and it never needed to be this way, but that's exactly what happened. Here is the harsh truth of Star Wars. Disney is inconsistent and has damaged the brand and the IP several times. Some think that would be impossible, but of course it wasn't, because it's Disney Star Wars. Again, I'm someone that thought, hey, there's no way that they could actually kill Star Wars.
I'm ending all of this.
Well, I was proven wrong. And they have earned most of the criticism they are getting. They sidelined John Boyega in an act of cowardice, while in every other way virtue signaling their commitment to diversity.
I think at the heart of everything, I am a storyteller and an activist.
That is something that can't be ignored. I agree completely. I agree completely. Again, when you're virtue signaling constantly, representation, diversity is so important. It's everything. And yet you sidelined John Boyega, you shrunk him down on the China posters, and you pretty much botched any opportunity to have a good story with him as a character, because you don't believe in the nonsense that you preach. Those that preach the loudest have the most to hide. Disney is a classic example of that.
Execute Order 66.
And this is they foolishly relaunched the Skywalker saga and refused to treat it with the respect of established. Yeah, so we're talking about the sequel trilogy that brought the original trilogy fans and the prequel fans together. 2 generations of fans. And then you were introducing an all new generation of fans to it. If this is done right, Star Wars is unstoppable. Star Wars is making billions of dollars every single movie, and it's not even a question. But it says they failed to treat it with the proper respect of establishing a true story with a planned, definitive beginning, middle, and end, and had to be reactionary to fans and the internet instead of just delivering on a vision. They stubbornly refused to make something that would honor George Lucas, incorporate aspects of his treatment for a sequel trilogy, and having his blessing meant nothing to them. Executives and creatives went out of their way to make press blunders that anyone else representing any other brand would have been fired for.
You're fired. Get out of here. Right?
If you're reading this and you know that you would be fired for the same thing at your work you publicly represent, if you publicly represent the brand, then that's hard to ignore or give a pass on. It was unnecessary. It served no purpose and added no value. It was a series of self-inflicted wounds that bled them at the box office. And then they threw the talent under the bus when things underperformed. That is bad leadership. How many times have I talked about the pathetic leadership of Lucasfilm, the pathetic leadership of Kathleen Kennedy? It is all about leadership. Leadership, leadership, leadership. You take Rian Johnson and you put him on Breaking Bad. Vince Gilligan has leadership. Vince Gilligan told Rian Johnson, controlled Rian Johnson, and he said, here's what I want. Here's what you have to do. This is the vision you have to carry out. And Rian Johnson executed that vision perfectly. Kathleen Kennedy has no vision, has no leadership, doesn't give Rian Johnson any direction, and basically gives him a blank check to do whatever you want with the most iconic property and the most iconic characters in the history of cinema.
I'm gonna burn it down.
Bad leadership. We have been shown recently by Marvel star Iman Vellani that even when the fans dislike a film, if the talent is humble enough to take criticism with grace and to show gratitude for those who did enjoy it, that support will still be there in the future. Perfectly said. That's all Rian Johnson and Pablo Hidalgo had to do. It's why J.J. Abrams is not as heavily criticized when there is a fair argument that most of the problems in the sequel trilogy begin with his mystery box. Disney is fully capable of doing Star Wars well. Rogue One, Rebels, Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Andor.
Your support is well seen.
They have shown that they know how to do Star Wars well across mediums and even across eras. When they don't do Star Wars well, it's because they think something is more important than doing Star Wars well and putting fans first. It's when they think something is more important than writing the best story possible. The reason Dave Filoni tends to get Star Wars right more often than not is because he is a fan of every aspect of that George Lucas created and is genuinely in awe of it. And it feels a sense of honor and privilege to be able to add to and build upon it.
They fly now?
What it seems is that he doesn't feel the need to correct something or one-up anything. It's the humility of realizing that there is something bigger than yourself and setting vanity and ego aside to truly honor what came before and to add something we haven't seen. Star Wars has always been about many things, but one of them has been the cycle of history. It's why the legend of Star Wars doesn't begin in the future, but in the past. It's why the lightsaber is an elegant weapon from a more civilized time. Star Wars is at its best when the legacy is honored, not subverted, not moved in a new direction. Because of the depth of what George already created has room to explore. And we know this because of the EU and Legends and how beloved that is. We know it because even though the Old Republic has never been featured on big screen and never been on a television series, it has tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of loyal fans. Star Wars already and always had something for everybody. It wouldn't be the franchise it is if it weren't the case. We have the ability to A/B test what has worked. I'd argue that Disney knows this because there are so many great things that have come out of Star Wars, and that's what hurts fans when they drop the ball and when they are called out on it. Even the talent knows the characters they poured their heart and soul into it deserves better.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you are.
Unbelievably said. It's like this guy has been watching our videos. Roberto Blake just put it into perspective, and this is what's happening right now. People that don't, I'm not saying Roberto Blake's not a fan, obviously he is. He said there was enough context there for you to understand he is a fan, but it's not like he's following this to the level that a lot of us are. And he is seeing this for what it is, just like everyone else that isn't a weirdo, a pronouns in the bio weirdo, an identity politics weirdo. That is the bottom line on this. And they're probably going to get mad at Roberto Blake because how dare a black man have an opinion, right? That's going to be interesting to see. But on that note, they're really mad at Star Wars Theory because he had this psychologist on, a woman, and the woman had an opinion that the weirdos don't like. What was the opinion of this woman? Let's listen in.
What's your overall consensus when a female director wants to come in and reshape something and say, plant that flag that, hey, I'm a woman and, hear me roar. Here is my way of making this sort of franchise, which is already established. Now something that's feminine dominant or female dominant, whatever it might be, instead of just a good story.
Yeah, I think what happens particularly in Western cultures where women have it so easy, but they pretend they're not. What happens with women who generally have it quite easy, they enjoy victimhood because that's the only way that they can feel part of other people's struggle. What makes human beings feel alive is when they're a bit struggling, when they're going through something, where they've gone through a bit of trauma, they've gone through something, it makes them feel alive. What's happened with women in the Western world particularly is because there is no real oppression, but they want to be a victim so bad because victimhood is just a way of kind of shortcutting sympathy. Everyone it's just shortcut entitlement. You get what you want without having to earn it because you just happen to be a victim. So what happens is they want to start finding places where they can be a victim and then transform it so that they can become a hero. So what they'll do is say, oh, we need more women in this particular sport. Nobody watches them. Nobody wants women in there, but they'll just stamp their authority so they can be a local hero. Then we need more women in Star Wars. No, we don't. No one. Women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. But they want to be like, oh, there's such a deprivation. We got to be in it so they can be a mini hero. When you don't have anything outside of your gender as a way of being proud of yourself, you use your gender as a shortcut for entitlement and heroic stances. So I would just say, unfortunately, it is the norm in Western cultures to kind of over-identify with your gender and then over-identify with victimhood. It's a way of getting a shortcut to being a hero. And as a result, it's just there to design. And also what it does is keeps the power in the hands of the women. And whenever you redirect power entirely to women, just like if it was entirely to men, it creates an unhealthy society.
Oh my goodness. And of course, they are very, very, very angry. The social justice weirdos that say, believe all women, respect all women, women representation. Are you just intimidated by a strong woman? They're very angry at her answers. Imagine that. Imagine that. Disney Star Wars fandom, desperation is setting in. Your time is up. It's over. Star Wars is dead. Disney Star Wars is dead. It's over. No one cares. No one likes it. There's no one left. There's no one left. It's just a bunch of weirdos with pronouns in bio now. No one cares.
No, you're still holding on. Let go.
We were right. All the people that you have called toxic and racist and man babies, we were all right. We've been proven right. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. I'm happy about it. Many people are happy about it.
Woo! I like this!
The very thing that you have been desperately trying to cling on to and take control of, you have ruined it. Because that is what social justice does. It just runs through things, ruins them, destroys them, and then they move on to something else. Star Wars is dead. It's over. It's not coming back anytime soon. Not as long as Disney and their current leadership have control over it. It is over.
Yeah, I just try to treat everything as if we're on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's kind of like my... Just work the runway,
But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Solo lost money. Raylos are weird. Fuck Lucasfilm. And we will talk to you later.
I bypassed the oppressor.